Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cybersecurity Recruiter podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Bailey. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Thomas. How are you doing?
Oh, good, mate. Oh, good. It's been a long week, but for everyone listening, it's a Thursday, so I think me and you are in a good mood, aren't we, my friend? You're closer to the weekend than me, but we're close to the weekend.
It's definitely one of those Thursdays where you're like halfway through the day and you realize it's not Friday, and you just kind of get that extra step of dread or the whole another day left.
Yeah. Well, my weeks are going quick at the minute. I'm hiring for my customers, but I'm not doing much hiring for myself. And if truth be known, I should probably make one or two hires for our own team. So I'm pushing myself to the limits, but I don't mind. I quite like it. So it's all good. It's all good. But Jeff, I'll just, for the listeners that don't know you, mate, I'm just going to do you an intro. Started off life at GameStop, come a long way since then, my friend. You was a store manager at GameStop, and you've spent time in various different positions, data analysts, management positions back in the day, and then got into security at Simmons Bank. Started off as a security analyst, and then worked your way up to more senior positions there, got a couple of promotions, and you're currently at Apptegy. And again, you started off as a security engineer, you've had multiple promotions. You went up to a manager of IT and information security, and you're currently at director level. So yeah, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you. Yep. It's been a career path. I used to think about how did I go on such this wild and crazy path? And then I got diagnosed with ADHD a few years ago, and it just suddenly all made perfect sense.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know what? I think a lot of people in security have ADHD and stuff. It seems to be more and more people having ADHD, or maybe we've just got more awareness these days.
I think it's definitely a mix of both. I think awareness is there because I know going through my whole process again, diagnosed and all that, it was just kind of the doctors telling me about symptoms and things. They haven't asked me about stuff from my childhood. It just kind of, oh, yeah, I would have never made that connection. It turned a few people going like, hey, you ever talk to a doctor about ADHD before I finally did it? But yeah, and I try and talk about it a lot at work and other places and social circles and all that. And it's just, I think it's becoming much more I don't want to say common. Awareness is still being on it now. And I think helping a lot of folks.
I think so. And these days, mate, we all talk about things a lot more. And I feel like it's like years ago, it was like this thing where everyone didn't talk about different things and this, that, and the other. Whereas now, and it's one of the reasons I started this podcast, because it's nice to share stories and realize that we're all actually similar in various different ways and stuff like that. And it's and I think it's good to talk. And I mean, someone once, I actually met this mental health expert once, and he said, if you're talking about stuff and this, that, and the other, and I've got loads of stuff I'm working on myself right now and stuff like that. And he said, if you're talking about it and you get it out to the open, you'll always be fine. It's the people that bottle stuff up, they're the ones that you have to worry about. So as long as we keep talking, Jeff, we'll be fine, mate.
Yep.
Cool. But I've done you a bit of an intro there, but where I like to always start is, who are you, mate? What do you get up to? What's a day in the life like at the minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So, currently, as mentioned, I'm director here. We're a K-12 marketing platform, communications platform. And I cover the whole broad spectrum of our entire security program, as well as our IT program. And, I have the privilege and the honor. We kind of hold what I think is one of the most sacred of data out there. It's, student data, ability to communicate with students and their information. And so to me, it's that is one of the most important things to protect. So every day it's really great to come in and work for a company that's just very this is the most important thing. We are going to protect this. And coming up with a lot of new and creative ways, as well as to stay ahead of everything. AI has changed absolutely everything. Everything's moving super fast. And so a lot of my day-to-day is honestly okay, which model is no longer legal now, or which model is just released. I may or may not have a whole plan around Fable that got upended one night last week. But so a lot of fun there, and just working on, we're in all 50 states. There's 50 states worth of regulations, different client requests, stuff like that. So keeping ahead of everything, making sure we meet everyone's requirements, and as well as always staying on top and doing what's best.
Cool. I'm definitely going to ask you some questions about it. I presume you got your hands on it before you got a brief go on it before it got banned. Did you manage to get it?
Yeah, I got 5 hour use. I used 50% of my 5 hour usage with one prompt. I was pretty proud of that. We had a whole plan on it. I was going to start, I got an API key. I was going to start running this whole project through it. And then someone messages me like, hey, what are your thoughts on Opus? Because you're going to be using that.
Yeah,
Like, oh
yeah. I
no.
think it's interesting though, because I saw some people say, "Oh yeah, Fable's good, but it's no more powerful than Opus." But I think I'd be interested to hear what you think. But I think that was probably like, I feel like Fable is like 20 steps ahead. Maybe Opus is like 5 or 6 steps ahead. And anyone that says that Fable's not more powerful, they probably just maybe weren't using it for the most powerful things. But what were your thoughts for the brief time that you did get to spend using it?
Oh, I was definitely hooked. I definitely noticed a lot of more power, a lot of difference with it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. Like, it feels like it's such a self-inflicted wound on Anthropic's part, talking about how
Mm.
powerful it is and how dangerous it is. And then here it is. But I mean, just thinking about it, in a couple months, 6 months, we'll probably have open source models that are just as powerful. But then what's going to be a
Yeah.
response after that? What comes after Fable? That's what's super exciting for me. It's just cool. We're now with Fable and growth and investment still just going ballistic. What's going to happen next? It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah. I heard stories about people getting it to do different things with code and building out different things. And then I heard people like stripping it back, like manually checking stuff for 5, 6, 7 hours, just trying to find mistakes. And they were like, this is just brilliant. Like, just built to such a high standard.
Yeah, we've had so much fun with it. The value I've seen a lot with a lot of these tools is, especially like in the cybersecurity world, is we'll have one specific use case, one problem we're trying to solve. Before we would not have anyone internally that could build a solution for it or have a way to process that data. We'd start looking at vendors, and you're looking at 6-figure contracts for a small risk or something that just doesn't make sense. But we try and hire builders as much as possible, and now give them AI. It's just cool. We can almost solve any problem we have that normally we'd have to over purchase a giant tool to, using a sledgehammer to hit a nail. But now we can start building our own little hammers and really solving a lot of those sticky or trickier issues for cheaper and quicker. We can be so adaptive and so fast on fixing things and being up front of things. That's why one of the reasons it's been so much fun is just, it's kind of opened up a whole new pathway of how to mitigate and solve risk.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know, a lot of the great people in security are like, if you're naturally curious and you want to adapt and learn, and these are key qualities in security, Jeff, as well as anyone. Like, if you've got that in you, like, it's a fun time. I mean, I've heard all sorts of stories. I know some VPs that are running MSPs and stuff like that have had arguments with husbands and wives because they just like literally can't put it down, and they're like going crazy like before work and after work. So it's an interesting time, to say the least.
Yeah, my daughter has discovered, she's 4. She's discovered Gemini in the car. So she's been
Okay.
asking questions or trying to talk to the AI through our car. Her love thing is, we'll be on a road trip. She'll randomly shout out, "Hey, Gemini, tell me a joke." Interrupts the music, interrupts the navigation, just so Gemini can then tell my daughter a joke.
Yes. What must it be like to be a 4-year-old growing up with what we're all getting hit with now? That must be mental.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm just trying to imagine. I think about just already the differences from my childhood versus my dad's childhood, the difference there. And that's just going to be even such a bigger leap with this technology. It's so much bigger. It's terrifying but exciting at the same time. So the whole goal now is, right, cool, how can I make sure she is now prepared for what could potentially be coming in the future for technology, careers, jobs? Like, how do you help? How do you keep her ahead of the field? How do you stay healthy? How do you avoid the excessive screen time, not get trapped in social media at a young age, doing things like that? It's
Yeah.
very weird. It's not a point where I can go ask my dad, like, "Hey, how'd you keep me off of Instagram as a kid?" It's just trying to figure all that stuff out now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to know. I suppose it's hard to know what the best thing to do is, because is it bad? Maybe it isn't. If it is bad to be on it excessively, how bad it is, probably no one really knows. I suppose it's probably taking a balanced approach. I'm certainly not about to give you any parenting advice, Jeff. I'm not even there myself yet, so I don't know.
I'll just ask Claude. Claude will tell me. Claude will.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I've mentioned this on a few pods, but I do find it fascinating. I'm going to ask you about token cost and token price. Like, obviously, it's being subsidized at the minute by the VCs. Where do you think all that? Do you think that's going to be like a big unveil in like 12 months, or do you not think it's really going to affect anything? I know it's hard, probably a hard question to answer, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think think we'll have a clear sign once OpenAI or Anthropic's IPO goes through, and we'll have a better idea of like what they're looking at. But I'm expecting costs to go skyrocket. I think there will probably be two classes of AI. There's going to be the consumer grade, and then there will be the enterprise grade and all the fun stuff. And then
and that's a good point, because once Anthropic does IPO and shareholders are in the mix and shareholders that want a return are in the mix, you're right. That is when we're going to see some change. But it's hard to know. Let's say it is crazy to think that none of us know how much it's open cost yet, which is wild, you know?
Yeah, I am very excited to like just get my hands on some of the financials from the IPO paperwork and all that, just to kind of like, all right, how is this actually working? How are they actually operating here? Like, how much of is it being subsidized?
Yeah. Let's say, there'll be people out there that know, but it's certainly being kept heavily under wraps at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. How much is Opus or Fable costing Anthropic to host? I'd love to see that number.
So we'll see it soon, mate. We'll see it soon. You mentioned earlier about, you were saying like, and I really liked what you said about 5 minutes ago. You talked about focusing on one thing, the student data. And like, I really like that. Like, I'm a big believer in that. Like, as a business, like, we used to do a few different types of recruitment and different things. And we've just like really honed in on security and like direct permanent hire and getting phenomenal at one thing. And I think it's a great thing to do. Is that, so are you enjoying that? Just basically staying laser focused on one thing and becoming like a real SME in that area?
So I do, and part of it, and you look back at my career path, a lot of it, there is that hyper focus, not to keep going back to the ADHD thing, but it's just like right now, like it's just so fascinating, especially it really clicks for me. I have a young child. She's about to start public school. Actually, she starts in the fall. So it's just like this, it really hits home to me. And it really allows me, it's meaningful work. Like it really provides, this might be a terrible analogy, but it really gives me that good guy, the defender vibes that we're really helping, doing good, really helping folks out there.
Yeah. And do you know what? I would say on the whole, if I think about the conversations I'm having on a daily basis with people either looking to move or maybe thinking about it, or what actually really makes people happy, it's that sense of, it's not money, it's not getting, money's important and getting a raise is nice and stuff like that. But it's what you've just said. It's that sense of purpose, that stimulation, and really having a reason to get. I think ultimately, as human beings, that is actually what makes us happy.
Yep, absolutely. To me, that's one of the biggest help prevents burnout, because it's such an issue in our industry, is really trying to having that job that provides that meaningful source for you, understanding, be able to see the actual impact you have on folks. So big to me. And one of the things we're trying, I try and drive that, with my team and everywhere we go, like, this is what we're doing. This is the impact we're having. Just think about, if we get it wrong, it's damaging to everyone. We're not just hurting the company financials, but there's going to be families involved. There's other folks where we can't get it wrong. We have to do everything we can to make sure we do it right.
Yeah. That quality of wanting to take care of people and look after people, like that is I feel that's a trait of like people that are really in security for the right reason. I mean, look how many people come out of the Navy, out of the Air Force, out of the Army into security. And it's that desire to want to look after and take care of and protect it. It's like that. You see that thread a lot in security, I feel like. Yeah, it's cool. All right, my friend. You talked a bit about different things like managing the team and stuff like that. I feel like that's certainly like an art form in itself. Obviously, being a great IC is a lot different from being a great manager. Is there anything that you've learned on the management side that could help others, or anything you know now that you maybe wish you knew a year ago or 5-6 months ago or whenever it might have been?
Yeah. So for me, like one of the harder lessons was like perception management, especially in a role like security, where we're going to find ourselves potentially arguing against or try being the people that bring the bad news sometimes, like, no, this ain't going to work, or no, we can't do that. So, kind of like having that perception of make sure people know that you are on their team. You are part of the group. You all have the same goal in the end. For better or worse, I am known as the bright colored shirt guy at work. And this all just kind of like, I'm not kidding. I wear nothing but Hawaiian shirts and golf polos right now. And a lot of it started was a couple of years ago. It's just like, cool. I want to break the whole mold of like security is the auditor. Security, if Jeff messages me, I'm in trouble. Like the best source of detection is someone messaging you saying something's off. So we need people to be not afraid to report things, to ask questions, to bring things up. So it's just cool. How can I make sure people are not afraid to just walk in on my door? If they want to talk anything security, I will drop whatever I'm doing. And I'll spend the next 20 minutes talking to them about the most random thing in security. I want to make sure they feel welcomed and all that. And anytime I'm on a call, it's just like, I want them to feel like it's the highlight of my day. The first thing I want to do is, hey, how's it going? I'm trying to be as happy as possible. And even if it's a difficult conversation around a project or something else, it's just, hey, I want to make sure they understand this is important. I'm excited to talk to them about it.
Jeff, you know what? For everyone listening, that should not be underestimated, what you just said. Having a laugh, the whole shirt thing. I know some of it is like, but there's a serious element there. And it's at the same time, like you're building strong relationships with people. People feel like they can come to you. Security then is not being seen as a showstopper. It's being seen as and you're allowing security to still be an enabler because you're keeping the lines of communication open. And I feel like as you go further and further up the ladder, whether it's director, VP, SVP, CISO, whatever it is, I feel like that becomes more and more important. And I feel like with the pace that security is moving at with AI and everything, I feel like that skill set you just described at the leadership level and the executive level, I feel like it's absolutely it's pretty much everything at that senior level. It's so important, mate, isn't it?
It is. So the whole idea of when I come to someone like with a concern or an issue, if I have that trust, it makes it so much easier. If they trust me to know that it is a real issue, it's a serious issue. Jeff is just not, this isn't a half a percentage, trying to nitpick. No, Jeff is not over exaggerating. Jeff is saying this is a legitimate issue. Even if it may not sound like it is to me, I trust Jeff. And so trying to get to that point where I could bring all that in, so valuable, so important, so key to driving results and getting the better security.
It is, mate. It is. Because if the relationship's there and the trust's there and the rapport's there, and you say, look, listen, guy, we got to start, like you said, everyone, it's cool because you've got the relationship and it's just so much easier. Whereas if none of that's there, even if you are saying slow down and you should slow down, if the relationship's not there, it becomes difficult. Even if there's something that's a bit, maybe 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, but the relationship's there, you'd still get away with it. So yeah, it's just easier said than done. But yeah, we need to get everyone to wear bright coloured shirts, Jeff. Maybe you've started a trend.
I'm learning.
I should have really. I'm trying to think if I've got any. I was going to say I should have worn one today for the pod of you, but I tend to just keep it pretty plain and simple. But maybe I'll jazz it up a bit and put a video out on LinkedIn for you and tag you or something, mate, so you can see I'm supporting the cause. Cool. All right, Jeff. But yeah, so the management side really, I mean, you've given us loads on that. So really the relationship, establishing the rapport, making sure you're very approachable, making sure people aren't going to cover things up because they're scared to come to, they're the main things. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the main things, as well as then managing your team. My goal here is always to hire people that are smarter than me, better than me. My main background, I spent a few years in cloud security. It's like, I may know a little about cloud security, but there's always that issue as a manager. It's just like, as soon as I give my opinion on anything, that becomes the answer. That becomes the default. So you want to make sure, I want to make sure if I ever say something, I want my team to always be able to challenge me, especially the folks that we hire to be the experts in their field. If I say something about application security, I want my application security engineer to go, Jeff, that's not a very good idea. And I want him to say that on our call with other stakeholders. I want my team to never be afraid to disagree with me. And a lot of that's because, they're thinking very direct, my application security engineer, he's so focused on application security, he's going to know every little detail about that. He knows where it's going to be important to push, when to hold back, what actually matters. And then I'll be talking, they'll ask my opinion. And my thought process is okay, I got 100 things I'm trying to get done. Here's the bare minimum I need for that. What path do I need to just get those bare minimums so I can get all this done? And then I want that engineer to go, Jeff, no, this is much more important than that. We need to focus on this. And so that's another super important thing to me, is just building that trust, letting folks own their area, especially, a lot of cyber teams. Everywhere I've been, you could always use more security folks. I don't think that's changing anytime soon. So it's cool. You always just assume you're running lean. How do you empower your folks? How do you keep them interested? How do they make sure they feel the ownership, that their work is meaningful? How to make sure someone's not just coming in, clocking in and out. If that's what they want to do, that's perfectly fine. But you know, you only have so many spots open. You want someone that really wants to own it, really is willing to drive in, as well as also then on the flip side, how do you prevent the burnout? The thing for me is, you know, I always ask my team, it's like, all right, what, you know, are you at 80%? 80% is the goal. I want everyone to always be working at 80% because you never know when you're going to lose a weekend. You're going to lose a night. Something's going to happen. There's going to be a fire, an incident, a question, deploy goes wrong. There'll always be something. And if you're already at 100, and you just lost your Saturday, that person is now miserable. Things are going wrong. They're not happy. You're going to get, you know, the incident's probably not going to get full focus it needs. But if they have that 20% bandwidth and they're ready and they're warmed up, it's so much better. Much rather sacrifice just a little bit of productivity at the end of the quarter to have that team rested and well and ready for whatever pops up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a slightly longer term way to approach things, but definitely better. I don't think every manager's like that, by the way. It's a good leaders like that. It's a good quality, you know. You're gonna have people picking you for jobs.
Bring it on. I'll take all the resumes.
It's interesting what you said about cloud computing. I feel like with AI, it's like cloud computing came out, everything changed, attack surface got busy, market went a bit wild. It's like what's happening with AI. Like AI's come, attack surfaces got bigger again, market's going a bit wild. There's a lot of similarities there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like a whole kind of like a paradigm shift. When I moved from doing the SOC and the endpoint and went into the security engineering, kind of the cloud security, I was just like, oh, the biggest risk is a misconfiguration. Okay. It's just kind of like a different thought. I'm not looking at weird logs, looking for threat detection, stuff like that. It's just like, okay, I need to go make sure the storage bucket has the right setting on. And then how do we catch it if it's not? If AI came out, you know, I'm talking to a lot of folks and it's like, cool, how do we detect what MCPs people are using? It's just it's a markdown file. How do you find it? It's like, cool. So I was talking earlier about building those tools. All right, cool. We have a way to go find those files and scan them, look at different things like that. It's whole new problems and whole new things to solve, but God forbid it changes every day. I just saw cloud design is now on the desktop app. And it's like, cool. From the IT side, now it's like, cool. That's now available to everyone. Now I got to think about, okay, what's going to happen here now that everyone's using cloud design? What's the risk there? What's the thoughts there? Are we cool with that? A lot of conversations around, cool, what are we cool with? What tools are we allowed? Let's do the quick analysis, as well as every SaaS app is adding AI. So you have to go back. It's like, cool, we just did our annual security review of that app for the contract renewal. 3 months later, they've completely added all the AI features and we have to start the entire process over. On the GRC side, that's actually been super keeping us busy. It's just trying to keep up with all the SaaS apps.
It's like, if go back to cloud, it's like when Azure and AWS and GCP came out, they all call the same things, completely different things. So you learn one and you've memorized S3 buckets and CloudWatch and Guard Duty. I'm trying to remember all the AWS acronyms now. I can only remember a few, but you memorize everything for AWS and you jump onto Azure and it's like, why can't you all just call everything the same?
Yeah. I ran into that real hard, but I was transitioned from Simmons Bank to Apptegy, and it was just like going from one cloud provider to the other. And I was just like, cool, where's this? And they're like, oh, it's Macy. And I'm just like, what? Macy what? Okay, I should have done a little more research on the names here. Trying to figure out, like, they all operate the same, but there's always going to be those little differences in the wording, the branding, the order you click the buttons.
One thing's for sure, Jeff, you've got to be, we talked about that tinkering and that desire to, like, you've got to really, I feel like more than ever, you've got to have that desire to want to look. Because one thing's for sure, like, we're talking about cloud here, we're talking about AI, we're talking about Fable, we're talking about Opus. Like, one thing's for sure is you've got to be up for learning and adapting, because it's not going any slower, mate, is it?
No, it's not. We talk about that internally a lot. There is some pushback, and especially I have a lot of friends outside of tech and stuff. It's like a lot of pushback on AI. And to me, a lot of those concerns are legitimate, but we're not stopping that train.
No.
It's just kind of like, regretfully, you do sometimes have to hop on and be willing to learn and understand, because that's just the direction things are going. And I think that's what's important, is the adaptability and the flexibility to figure out how to maneuver around what's coming.
Yeah. No, you're right, mate. And I think those people, I'm just trying to think about my friends outside of work now you said that. But yeah, I've got friends that, I've got one friend that actually did an AI course years ago, actually, and he's absolutely all over it. He's very, very high up in runs an airport. Then I've got other friends that just haven't bothered at all. But I think the people that pick the examples where they try and give use cases where it's bad, they probably actually haven't even really looked into it. They're just hand picking out cases where it is. And there is some cases where, like, I do think it gets overused in certain aspects of sales or relationship building. When you first reach out to someone, if you reach out with an AI automated phone call, you're going to kill the vibe instantly. So there is scenarios where you've got to pull it back and keep the human touch there. But there's undoubtedly so many efficiencies and gains you can get. And you're just going to get smoked by the competition, aren't you, if you don't adapt?
Yeah. We talk about that as risk a lot. It's like, what's the risk if we do this? What's the risk if we don't? Do we get left behind? Funny enough, you're talking about some of the problems with AI. Like, I recently just stopped using a person in my personal life. I stopped using a vendor because, they hit me with I went to reorder something, they hit me with the AI voice thing. And it's like, I see you have interest with Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arkansas. I'm just like, you are only located in Arkansas and you can't get your AI bot to say the state's name correct. Just come on. It's just some of the slop in there. You're just like, and I think it's always ruining it for everyone.
It is, mate. It is. And it's some people are just taking it. I think anything go to market, customer success, sales engineers, solution architects, AEs, DPs of sales, like anyone in those roles. Look, if you're working in a SOC, you're going to use AI to triage, right? And if you didn't, it'd be crazy not to. If you're detection engineer and you're going to build out one agent and you're going to get another agent to check the detections and you're going to get loads again, same with pen testing and stuff like that. But if you're jumping on a client meeting to do a tabletop or to deliver some report findings and you're getting a robot to do it, you're probably going to lose some clients pretty quickly.
Yeah. My favorite thing is always, you'll give an ask, you're like, hey, will you give me your thoughts on this? Or write me a one pager on how we should do this or what? And then they deliver it less than a minute later. And you're just like, okay, come on. You sent me this email. I've had vendors do it all the time. You're just, did you just plug my name in? And like, what?
The other thing is, I'm going to ask you if you're good at this, and I bet you are. Like, you get really good at spotting it. I go through LinkedIn and I can just spot it. I can just spot it a mile off when people are writing their posts with that, because it uses certain words and certain phrases. So when you get that report from a vendor, like, you're probably the same as me. It literally takes seconds and you're like, yeah, AI. You can just spot it a mile off.
Oh, absolutely. I heard someone describe it as like, it likes to use like shock journalism style writing, especially on LinkedIn. It's not this, it's this, and different phrases like that. Then of course you have all the giveaways, the dashes and different words there. And you're just like, oh God.
Okay. Do you know what? That's interesting, because I actually did handwrite I meant to do my newsletter weekly, and I never do. I'm so inconsistent with it, but I did one 2 or 3 weeks ago. I actually did it manually. And I actually put something like breaking news about and it didn't get much traction. And now you've probably just maybe, I bet everyone thought it was the shock journalism AI. Maybe I shot myself in the foot.
Yeah, there is a startup idea for someone like, you can put a badge on your writing, certified not AI. Or something. You just kind of certificate to go with each blog post or newsletter.
Yeah. Do you know what they're the things where people can use it wrong? But I do think if people are using it to get internal gains, whether it's within HR departments or SOCs or for pen testing or whatever, and then people are still keeping the human touch on the relationship side, I know from a learning perspective, I've seen some phenomenal gains. Like I know some hackers and red teamers that I've known for a long, long time that weren't very good at, they're great red teamers in other aspects, but they maybe weren't great at producing exploit code. But then they've watched AI build exploit code in front of them so many times now, they very, very quickly got really, really good at producing exploit code. So I think for like learning and development, deep research, OSAN, like if you use it properly and then keep the human touch on the relationship side and keep world-class fundamentals there and don't take any shortcuts, if you do that and combine that with the AI for the other stuff, you can become like dangerous in a good way, can't you?
Absolutely. I think, we talked about like, how are you using AI to free up your time to go do the important things? That's, and I think about, for me personally, like, what are the barriers? One of the hardest things for me is always starting with a blank page of paper. You give me something that's halfway written. I love the editing. I love the formatting part, I love doing that. Starting with that blank page is hard, especially when you come to a policy. It's just like, cool. Hey, throw me the most random policy. Give me a random policy template. Cool. Not a single word will last, but it gives me that starting point. It saves me that time of trying to figure out what is the first word. What is that first outline? Give me that thing to start, manipulating. That just frees up time on that, as well as, finding things. I lose things in my desktop or my drive. Being able to have coworker go like, hey, I wrote a policy. I can't remember what folder I saved it in because it's late at night and I don't remember what the latest draft number was. Will you go tell me, go find my policy in my desktop. It will find it in 30 seconds. It just saved me 10 minutes from clicking the random PDFs. Different things like that. It's just life-changing.
It is. It is, mate. And I think having the base knowledge there previously, like you've obviously come up through like a good path in security, like being an engineer, being an analyst, then work your way up to director. If you ask it a question about something to do with security engineering and it tells you wrong, you're going to know when it's wrong and you can tweak it and you can reprocess. It's like, it's so matter of fact. When it like hallucinates, it can be like really convincing, and it's like having the fundamentals to back it all up. If you don't, you can look very silly very quickly, can't you?
Yeah, and so we've kind of seen that firsthand. So one of the things I do every year is I help make puzzles and run a CTF competition for, high school and college kids in our area.
Okay.
And, this last year, basically the whole joke was, all right, first place was Claude, second place was ChatGPT, and third place was the team from the math and science school. And so, we're all the puzzle makers were like, how do we even combat this? You either make it so hard where AI can't solve it by doing, if you had flipped these two letters of this weird name, you would have known the algorithm we're talking about. But that's, some obscure knowledge that the average person trying to come to a CTF is not going to have. But then at the same time, it's like, cool, as the CTF here to design skills, go from 0 to 5, like build up, learn your first RCE, stuff like that. Or like teams just like pointing the call and go. It's just like, oh, hey, what's the bash script I need to run to do this? Cool. What copy paste? Do this. And it's just like no one's editing. It's like, hey, find me the error in this script. It just does it for them. And it's just like, cool. You're solving the puzzle, but you're not actually doing the puzzle. You're not getting that skills. So cool. Do we just not make it a competition? But then is anyone going to come? Like, it's just like, how do you find that balance? And then it's also, this is the real world though. People are going to be using AI every day in their life for the foreseeable future. Part of this is building life and career skills. So do we just swap the focus? But at the same time, a lot of the hardest puzzles to solve were the ones where if you didn't have obscure knowledge about Randu or some other different algorithm that AI couldn't have picked out for you, they weren't going to get solved.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, there's something about like, like when all the information's there really easily, it's almost like if you don't catch yourself, you can almost become like, because everything's there too easily, you can almost like stop appreciating it, and almost like years ago, like it's like we wanted to find something out, we would have to like really research it, or maybe you'd go to the library and pull the book out and then you'd get a piece of information and it'd just be like, yes. And like you'd get it and you'd write it and it would be etched in your mind. Whereas now it's just like prompt, got it. And it's like, if you're not careful, I think it will affect like the way that we absorb information, pick things up. If you're a bit more senior, it's probably not so much of a big thing. But I think for people coming through and growing up and juniors and stuff like that, if all the information is just like very, very easily coming to you, it's almost going to be like in one ear and out the other, unless you make a conscious effort for it not to be.
Yeah. And just not to go back to my daughter, but like some issue I'm kind of having there is she'll ask like the whole, hey daddy, what's that? I can't say I don't know anymore because I can just take a picture, send it to Claude, and Claude's going to go, oh, that's a quermu, or that's a reindeer, or that's this obscure snake species. I can't say, I don't know. She's going to be like, hey, ask your phone. Your phone will tell me what it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's like that skill of like me starting to go, my daughter's not going to be used to going through a picture book of snakes trying to figure out which breed of snake that was. She's going to take a picture and Claude it.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about going through that process that I do think is valuable and important. But if you remain cognizant of it, it's probably not a problem. But it is something I think that does for everything. Yeah. I think you've got to keep it at the front of mind because it'll be easy. The brain is like any other muscle. It's not flexed and used. It can suffer. But I'm the same there. Like, not to go off topic, but like I've literally got a coffee machine to my left just here, and I had some decaf stuff and some caffeinated stuff, and I was tired, and I've got them all out of the box, and I couldn't remember which was which. So I just did what he said. I just started taking pics. I was like, which one's caffeinated? And it's, it just told me straight out. It's like, it's mad how it's really intertwined into our lives.
It's made me realize like that perfect clarity now of why at school they teach math, then they give you the calculator.
Yes.
It's like the same thing. It's just like, how do we make sure, especially on folks just entering the job market, how do we make sure they get those basic skills before we give them the calculator for their job?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, mate. All those years I was having to go at the teacher for doing Pythagoras that I was adamant I was never going to use. Maybe there was some method to the madness after all.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, my friend. And one question I'd like to ask as we come towards the end, Jeff, is I used to say which book or podcast has had the most, you say which book, sorry, has had the most positive impact on your career, but it can be book, it can be podcast, it could be maybe some online content you're consuming, can be security related, doesn't have to be, but just anything that you've consumed that's made you the best version of yourself that could help the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably one of my favorite books of all time, and I always go back to it, is Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. I hope I'm saying his last name right. I think it's like 40,000 weeks. But basically, the whole premise is you only have so many weeks to live. And we focus so much on the things that are not important. There's the idea of there will always be problems. My job is paid to solve problems. So I will always have problems. Going back to that whole 80% work, it's just kind of that time management, focusing on what is important, getting the value, focusing on yourself. That book will really help me, opened up that whole idea to me and like how to start thinking about what I'm spending my time on and is it meaningful or not.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to read that, by the way, because what I've noticed is since I'm always working, and we're a team here, we're a small team, I'm interacting with the team, I'm interacting with people there, but I work remotely and I work long hours, so I physically spend a lot of time on my own. And I do catch myself overthinking a lot. And if you're not careful, you can start thinking about, it's back to the things like control the controllables. Yeah, I should. Time management, yeah? I need to probably give that one
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's good. But yeah, no, I think when you're working remote, I think it is important to keep these things in check. But yeah, we'll pop it in the show notes, Jeff.
4,000 weeks. Damn it.
Oh, mate. Oh, wicked. Oh, wait, you're giving me the Amazon link. Don't tempt me. I'm going to end up buying it.
All right, that's the first one that popped up. First one popped up.
Cool, mate. Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Also anything by Adam Grant, huge Adam Grant fan. Read everything from him. His blogs, his podcasts, all that.
Cool.
Yep.
What I've done is I've got YouTube Premium now, which is great. You can get access to a lot of stuff on there, and it just always plays. There's no adverts. You can put the phone back in your pocket and plug these in, and you can just really, the compound effect on the learning side over time when you're doing that is pretty good. But thanks, mate. I've enjoyed chatting to you, mate. I always do, and thanks for your time. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you sitting down with me and recording this. And yeah, do you think we've done okay?
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Thomas. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I've really enjoyed it. Cheers, buddy.